In my opinion, the movie should have started with Ethan Hunt going straight to that Russian submarine, doing what he needed to do there, and then the rest of the movie being more creative, fresh, and have better writing, but still keep the biplane sequence for the third act. I like that the Mission Impossible announcement at the beginning of the movie came via a VHS inside a VCR. The first half of this movie has entirely too much exposition and too much exposition in the movie in general. The first hour is mostly boring. There are too many callbacks, flashbacks to previous movies in the franchise. I like some of the callbacks and flashbacks, but not all of them. An early action scene had Ethan fight bad guys while Haley Atwell's Grace just looked on, and we didn't actually get to watch that fight scene. That fight scene must have been an issue with the budget, their budget with this whole huge, expensive movie that should have been seeing Ethan fight, but without seeing him fight and just hearing the sound effects as she watched, probably a broken thing in the budget. The enemy slash villains, the Entity and Gabriel, were poor and weak and not memorable. But at least in the very beginning of the movie, we got to briefly hear Solomon Lane's voice, or at least Solomon Lane's voice from this entity. Gabriel was a mustache-twirling cartoon. Oh yes, quite a cartoon. And also, we get no more information. We sadly get no more information on the woman that was shown being killed by Gabriel in Dead Reckoning, and also no more of Gabriel and Ethan's past history on their past history pre-Mission Impossible 1. So both that thing about the girl that was shot in Ethan's past and of the Gabriel and Ethan's own past with themselves, all of that, which should have been explained in this part 2, are missed opportunities. 25 to 30 minutes of this movie could have been or should have been cut down. That's right. 25 to 30 minutes of this movie could have or should have been cut down to a shorter length. Or if you want to keep it at that length, at least have more engaging and innovative scenes that add to the movie and not subtract from it. An important OG, old gangster, original gangster, original grandfather, whatever you want OG to stand for. An important OG character from all the way back to the start of this franchise doesn't make it through. Which makes it harder for me to see how a Part 9 would even work. But the movie does end in a way that leaves things open for more Mission Impossible. That leaves things open for more Mission Impossible movies further in the future. I didn't feel like this was a finale or a last chapter to the Mission Impossible series. It just felt like another the usual stuff they all have to go through. Speaking of which, the team working together was not on the level of like it was in parts 4 through 6, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout. And they are away from this team of Final Reckoning. They are away from Ethan for a whole lot of the movie. They're just away from him. He goes on his own little solo mission while the team does other things away from him for a lot of it. And and just like Tyrone said, there were a lot of, in quotes, boxes. There were a lot of boxes checked off. A lot of boxes checked off in this movie. A problem something that didn't seem to be a problem in Top Gun Maverick is somewhat of an issue with the boxes in this movie, and I believe a Top Gun 3 is greenlighted. So hopefully we'll get a Top Gun 3 for us in the near future as well. Those all sound like a lot of negatives. I have a few things I liked about the movie. Not as much of the negatives, but here they are. The positive things I like are, I like the hand-to-hand combat scenes. Oh, that's right, I like the hand-to-hand combat scenes. I like Ethan working with the United States government closely in this one, because they thought that, you know, they needed his help, so there was no going around that the U.S. government and Ethan had to work together in this very, very tough and complicated mission of this story, of this this part 2, but also what they say is supposedly supposed to wrap up also things even before Dead Reckoning in the other movies somehow. So I like that Ethan was working with the U.S. government closely, but some of those scenes are still a bit silly as well. The underwater sequence was cool, but too long. I really like the biplane sequence. The biplane sequence is very well done, but that whole biplane sequence was very similar to the third act climax of Fallout, which we're going to get into that in a sec. So I really like the biplane sequence. It's really done well. Those underwater sequence and the biplane sequence in the air, both of those set pieces alone are worth the price of admission. But not so much about how that first half movie, especially the first 60 to 90 minutes, maybe even into 90 minutes, was a dull exposition and flashbacks, and all that stuff that could have been cut with him going straight to the submarine in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, which obviously wasn't the way they went with all that. Tom is a great entertainer, and I hope that this isn't really the last movie in the franchise or in this whole Mission Impossible thing. I hope it's not the last one, but I really don't know where they could go realistically from here. Well, if they were, hopefully an actual faced villain again, and not this whole technological like entity nonsense that we've been getting for 2 different movies in the 2020s. I don't know where they would go, but especially with his OG no longer with us, that's kind of... I mean, I guess they could do it without the OG, but it just wouldn't be the same. I like that Tom gave the audience a short message before the movie started. Yeah, I do like that Tom gave the audience a short message before the movie started, and it was neat. It was nice that they brought back someone from the first movie, and I'm speaking of which, outside of Kittredge. Tom is dedicated to the cinematic experience and to pleasing the audience. If I had to grade or rate... Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing before the grade. The Rabbit's Foot. The Rabbit's Foot MacGuffin. The Rabbit's Foot MacGuffin from Part 3 is brought back to be incorporated into the plot of the Entity, which some people might like that the Rabbit's Foot was brought back to be a part of the Entity, and some may not like that. Either or, it is what it is. It's a part of the story to somehow bring Part 3's Rabbit's Foot into the Entity storyline. Now that I said that, if I had to grade or rate Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, I would give this a 2.75, that's right, a 2.75 out of 5, or a 7.5 out of 10, or, a C+. Sad to say, a C+. I never really felt connected to the Reckoning movies strongly, and think that Fallout is the pinnacle smoothness of the series and is awesome and is one of the best action movies ever made. They probably should have stopped at the end of Fallout, to be honest, in my opinion. I'm not sure if I forgot anything or left anything that's that's missing, but I have to say, much of Mission Impossible 8 was a disappointing mess. With all that said, I'll see you at the movies. Everybody dance and have a good time. This is Millennial Man Motions Entertainment, LLC, signing out. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun